All right, hello everyone. We are talking through the volume of pyramids and cones now. You'll notice we just talked about surface area, now we're going on to volume. So, a pyramid is a solid with a base that is a polygon and lateral faces which are triangles. So, a polygon is just a shape. We are typically only going to work with squares, rectangles, and triangles. All right? These have a common vertex. That means they come up to a point. The altitude, in other words, the height, which is what we focus on, of a pyramid, is always perpendicular, which means it creates a right angle. Distance from the vertex, the point, to the base. A regular pyramid has a regular polygon for the base, and the height meets the base at its center. The slant height of a regular pyramid is the height of any lateral side. So we talked about slant height a lot during our last video because that was what measured the height of the base of this triangle to the vertex. So, in fact, if we're looking here, we've got our base in pink. We've got our height or altitude in green. Now, typically we're not going to use that for surface area, but we will for volume. We've got our vertex at P, the top point, and we've got the slant height in this corally color. Like prisms, pyramids are named by the shape of their bases. For example, a pyramid that has a hexagon at its base is called a hexagonal pyramid. A cone has a circular base and a vertex that is not the same plane as the base. In other words, your vertex should be above your base. The height of a cone is the perpendicular distance between the vertex and the base. In a right cone, the height meets the base at its center. The slant height is perpendicular distance between the vertex and a point on the base's edge. So in other words, the slanted part, that's your slant height. All right, so we've got our base. We've got our height. We've got our vertex. Oop, wrong color. we've got our slant height. So we got base, height, vertex, and our slant height. All right, so let's actually get on to some volume. So here are our formulas for volume. If it is a pyramid, we have the volume is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. And a cone is 1/3 the area of the base times the height, or 1/3 pi r squared times the height. Because you know that your cone is always going to have a circular base, and the area of a circle is pi r squared. All right, so I kind of already said this. The capital B is the area of the base. H is your height, true height, the one that is perpendicular to the base. And R is your radius. So I'm going to go through number 1 and 2, and then I'm going to ask you to try number 3 and 4. So on number 1, it says we need to find the volume of this cone and to round to the nearest hundredth. So I don't need to go out past the second decimal. I have volume is equal to 1/3 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius times the height. Now, this tells me the diameter because it goes all the way across. So diameter is twice the radius, so we need to take 13 4/10 and divide it by 2. So we find that our radius is 6.7 inches. So we've got 1/3 times pi times the radius squared times height, which is 10.2. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify this. Now, you could say 1/3 times these, or if you're me, at the very end, once I've found all of this, I will divide it by 3. Remember, multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. So that's what Mrs. Coyle does, because I don't particularly love multiplying by fractions. So 6.7 squared, or 6 7/10 squared is 6 7/10, so 6 and, not 67, times 6 7/10. So we end up with 3.14 times 44.89 times 10.2. And we get 1,437 and a whole bunch of numbers. But we then need to divide that by 3. So my volume is 479 and 25 hundredths. And it is inches cubed. We're talking about 3-dimensional figures now. Now, you may not have known that this little marking means inches. That's okay. You're not typically going to see that on like a test or a quiz. All right, I will always make sure that it's written out as inches, or like down here where it's supposed to say feet. All right. So, number 2, we're finding the volume when our base is a rectangle, which means base times height. So base times the, it is 1/3, sorry, 1/3 the base times the height, which is 9. So in order to find my base, I've got volume is equal to 1/3 times the area of the base, which is 6 times 7, times 9. Now I'm going to go ahead and simplify this. I got 6 times 7, which is 42. And again, I don't like to multiply by fractions, so I'm just going to end up dividing this by 3. So I need to do 42 times 9, and then divide that by 3. And I will find that my volume is 126 inches cubed. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to try and use your understanding of cones, which is the volume is equal to pi r squared times the height over 3. And pyramids, which is base times height over 3. So take your time, solve it out, and then check it with this video here in about 3, 2, 1. So we have pi r squared times the height, so it became 3.14 times 35 squared times 37, all divided by 3. And that should have been your answer, 47,440 and 2/10 cubic feet. And down here, base times height over 3, 14 times 15 times 24, all divided by 3. Y'all have got this. I believe in you. Have a great day.